We may never know how many people were victimized by Ghislaine Maxwell, but those of us who survive implore this court to detain her until she can stand trial and answer for her crimes.
An indictment against power and privilege. Annie Farmer finally getting her day in court against the woman she says lured her into the hands of a predator.
I first met Jeffrey Epstein when I was 16 years old. Even when I think about it now, I kind of get a sick feeling in my stomach.
Farmer says she met Epstein through her sister Maria, who was initially hired to collect art for the Financier. Both she and her sister say Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assaulted them. Annie says it happened to her at his New Mexico ranch.
She said, okay, you know, get undressed and then come lay on the table. And she, touches me around my chest. This was such a scary situation for me. So I just needed to just to manage that and to go on as if everything was normal.
Now, nearly 25 years later, at 41, Farmer spoke via teleconference at Ghislaine Maxwell's first court appearance, calling her a sexual predator who groomed and abused me, adding she lied under oath and tormented her survivors.
This was a very emotional moment. She was confronting the woman who had abused her years ago, the woman who had recruited her, drawn her in, and then betrayed her.
David Boies represents several Jeffrey Epstein accusers, including Farmer, who revealed her identity at today's hearing, one of the 3 unnamed alleged victims in Maxwell's criminal indictment. People process trauma differently. Can you give us a sense of how Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein's actions impacted your client's life?
Remember that these girls were abused twice, once sexually years ago, and then a second time when Epstein and Maxwell and all of their enablers began these vicious attacks on their credibility.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the ex-girlfriend, alleged co-conspirator and right hand of the deceased convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, today pleading not guilty on 6 charges, including sex trafficking.
She had her hair tied back, she appeared in a dark-colored top, and really kept her demeanor calm.
The 58-year-old disgraced British socialite, once a fixture in the New York City social milieu, appearing via remote from a Brooklyn jail. The judge rejecting her request for a $5 million bond, prosecutors calling her a flight risk, arguing she's a citizen of a country that does not extradite its own citizens. She appears to have access to considerable wealth and appears to be skilled at living in hiding. Other details alleged from the prosecution that Maxwell purchased that New Hampshire $1 million estate using an LLC, touring it under the assumed name Janet Marshall, that she had over 15 bank accounts, and according to federal prosecutors, she's now married.
The fact that Maxwell was married, perhaps during some of the time period related to these allegations, may give us information about another witness. Because in this investigation, the prosecutors are going to be looking for anyone that has information about this criminal enterprise that Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were involved in.
Maxwell will remain behind bars until her trial, scheduled for a year from now. Detained across the river from where Epstein infamously killed himself last year while awaiting his own charges.
Her lawyer revealed that she is in solitary confinement. We know that cloth sheets and clothing have been taken away, and she's been given paper items.
Maxwell stands accused of enticing 3 teenage victims between 1994 and 1997. Prosecutors alleging she assisted, facilitated, and contributed to Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by, among other things, helping Epstein to recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse victims. Maxwell vigorously denies the charges and intends to fight them.
She's facing up to 35 years in prison, which, given that she's 58 years old, that's the remainder of her life, essentially. So it's going to be interesting to see if she tries to enter into any kind of plea deal that could lessen the jail time that she may have to serve.
Maxwell had been arrested just under 2 weeks ago in New Hampshire, where she'd been living in this $1 million estate, purchased in all cash last December.
When the FBI showed up at the 156-acre property in New Hampshire, they ordered her to come to the door, to open the door. And FBI agents said instead she ended up retreating into an interior room of the house. So the agents had to barge their way in, and that's where they found Ghislaine Maxwell, in an interior room.
Inside the home, agents say they found a cell phone wrapped in tinfoil on top of a desk, a seemingly misguided effort to evade detection from law enforcement trying to trace her phone.
The defense said Ghislaine Maxwell was not in hiding from law enforcement. She was simply trying to avoid the public eye. The defense said her life had been threatened. Even her lawyers had received threatening messages, and so she hired these private security guards.
Ghislaine Maxwell first met Epstein in the early 90s.
It was almost a perfect match. She had all of the social connections that he desired, and he had millions of dollars in wealth.
Epstein and Maxwell socialized with the international jet set, including power players like Presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Both say they knew nothing of his behavior and that they had distanced themselves from Epstein. But it was Epstein's relationship with Prince Andrew, son of the Queen of England, that sent shockwaves. The ill-fated friendship began in 1999 when Maxwell, an old friend of the prince, introduced them. Prince Andrew speaking with the BBC.
He had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together.
Prince Andrew stayed with Epstein at his properties in New York, West Palm Beach, and on his private island in the Caribbean. He also flew on his private jet, but behind the glamour, sinister allegations.
I had just been abused by a member of a royal family. So when you talk about these chains, yeah, I wasn't chained to a sink, but these powerful people were my chains.
In an interview with the BBC Panorama in December of last year, Virginia Giuffre, whose maiden name is Roberts, alleges Epstein and Maxwell directed her to have sex with Prince Andrew in 2001, when she was only 17. Maxwell has denied all allegations that she facilitated or participated in any sex trafficking.
This is not some sordid sex story. This is a story of being trafficked. This is a story of abuse. And this is a story of your guys' royalty.
Prince Andrew has denied all her claims. In this BBC interview from November, he maintains he has no recollection of Giuffre and never had sex with her.
I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened.
In a statement in response to BBC's Panorama, Buckingham Palace said the Duke unequivocally regrets his ill-judged association with Jeffrey Epstein and deeply sympathizes with those affected who want some form of closure. Earlier this month, Giuffre speaking with 60 Minutes Australia after Maxwell's arrest.
How do you think Prince Andrew is feeling right now?
Oh, Prince Andrew should be panicking at the moment. Because Ghislaine doesn't really care about anyone else but Ghislaine.
There are those who say Ghislaine might have other dirt on other powerful men. Thoughts on that?
No question about it. Maxwell knows where a lot of the bodies are buried. If I was somebody who had participated in their sex trafficking, I would not be sleeping easily tonight.
What does justice look like?
I think that they want to see her go to trial. On the other hand, the arrest and the conviction that would come from a plea deal is an enormous step. And I think they also recognize that Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell did not act alone. There are lots of other people that need to be brought to justice.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.